All right. Well, Thomas and I are catching up. I haven't got to see Thomas since we did Badger. I've just got to see him on Training Peaks. Um, but he's doing really well with his volume. He's been hiking and running again. So how are you feeling, Thomas?
I'm feeling good, Aaron. Yeah, and yeah, totally different than the way I felt during Badger. Yeah, before Badger, I go out for a few miles and start feeling it. This past, I just say about the past week, I'm beginning to feel like the way I felt before I ran Old Dominion.
Good, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get what was it? Was it 5 weeks or 6 weeks between Badger and I think it's six
I,
weeks, right?
yeah, I think it's just a little under 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we record this, we are actually 2 weeks away from race day. So we still have 2 weeks here recording, but my travels are going to be crazy. So I wanted to get this recorded ahead of time. So thanks for jumping on. Um, so looking ahead to Wasatch, let's just talk about the course a little bit. This one definitely looks to be 100 miles. Everything I could find says 100 miles. And elevation gain, what have you seen for elevation gain? I was kind of going through some Strava stuff. What did you find?
Um, just off the top of my head, I thought it was like around 22,000, between 22 and 24. I think it was more like
Yeah.
22.
Yeah. So
Uh,
this gentleman here, Simon Gerard, he did the Grand Slam last year. And I pulled up his Strava, and here's his Wasatch. Everything has to be taken with a grain of salt, but his recorded elevation gain was 24,882. So yeah, to guess somewhere between 22 and 25 is probably about where we're going to be. So 100 miles, somewhere between 22 to 25,000 feet of elevation gain. We have 36 hours to complete this one, right? Any apprehensions for you up front?
um, Come on, I do like the elevation. I've done a few hundred milers at that elevation, if not higher. And what I haven't done is that elevation within 36 hours. So,
Sure.
previous races, there's been where I've done that elevation where I've had a little more time at that aid station. So that's my apprehension. It's just the time limit.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to be getting up to upwards of 10,000 feet in this race. Not for long. We stay kind of between 9 and 10 for some time, but we also we're down below, well, around 5,000. So looks like elevation ranges from about 5,000 up to a very short time at 10,000. We just kind of hit a summit and then come back down, but we do have some time spent up at that 9,000 range. Um, so I think looking at the elevation profile, the first climb is probably the biggest humdinger on the course. um, did you get to like hear about this or see it?
Yeah, just a little bit of both. Hearing about it, watching YouTube videos. I like that. I like doing it right up front. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know I won't be running it, so
right. I don't think
yeah,
anybody will because it's about 4,000 feet of gain in 4.5 miles, from what I understand. Does that sound about right?
yeah. That's everything I've seen. Just from the elevation profile, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it starts around mile 4. So around mile 4, we start this big climb right out the bat. Mile 4 to I think it's like 8.5 or 9, something like that. But we gain like over 4,000 feet in that short span. So that looks to be the biggest, toughest climb of the race. But like I said, we get it done up front. So there's some other good sized climbs, but nothing as steep or long as that one. Actually, from mile 80 on into the finish, it looks pretty darn nice, according to the elevation profile. But we all know that we can't trust that. um, but yeah, it's It's definitely a roller. I mean, like we talked about, significant elevation gain. This is the toughest in that regard of the slam of the ones that we have to do. This is the most amount of gain out of any of the ones that we've had to do. So this one's going to be challenging, but we do have 36 hours. Um, Other factors that come into play here are the temperature swings. Hopefully we're not going to get too much hot weather. I'm not even looking at weather this far out because it could change, but I'm hoping we don't see any really temperatures in the 90s, or temperatures below 30 in the evening. Leadville got into the 30s at night. It wasn't too bad. I didn't get too cold, but that is something that I've heard a lot of people have dropped from this race just because they got extremely cold at night. So preparing for that. Um, how are you going? How are you attacking this one? Do you have any crew coming out with you?
Um, really no crew. I'm pretty sure my brother's going to be out there. Not the start, but like he's flying out actually when the arrive the day of the race, so he should be at the very end. Besides that, I've contacted some folks um, from I guess one of their local running clubs there, and so I've got a pacer.
Great.
So yeah, so he asked me where I wanted to be paced at. He said he's good for I think about 30 miles, 20, 30 miles,
Nice.
and I said for me it's right when it starts getting dark. That's where I think I'm going to need it the most.
Okay.
So I should have a pacer for about 30 miles, and I'm looking for a couple other pacers too. This is what I'm going into where I'll take I'll take his
Good.
I'll take pacers throughout the whole as much as I can throughout the whole course. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, there's not many exchange points. There's
yeah,
basically four, with the fourth one being at mile 92. Um,
right, yeah,
so yeah, there's only really three pacer exchange zones besides that fourth one, that has 8 miles to go. And it's the same thing for crew access points. There are very few crew access points as well. So we're gonna have to rely on drop bags and our own packs for the most part. Um, so yeah, some added challenges for sure. With this race, it's logistically a lot of planning. Just so we have enough enough to get us from point A to point B, aid station to aid station. Yeah. Um, so
definitely at the definitely in my drop bags. I'm going to have uh, if I'm not carrying, which I probably will be carrying one of those really lightweight waterproof jackets. But in my drop bags, I'm going to have something I can throw on at the aid station. I don't plan on staying long at the aid station, but just within a few minutes, you can start chilling up pretty quick
yeah,
if you're wet from sweat. So um,
right,
yeah,
right, yeah,
having the hat
absolutely.
and gloves and dry clothes is going to be important for me.
Yep, yep. No, that's great. What pack are you going with this time? Are you bringing a larger capacity pack?
That's what I'm debating right now. So pretty sure I'm going to use my Salomon, but it's a 5 liter, so it's a decision I'm going to make within the next 2 days whether I'm going to buy buy the 12 liter, a little bit bigger pack. It, not sure on that one.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's nice to. I mean, with the 5 liter, I at least carry a hat and gloves, but I can't really carry a whole lot more. I could pretty much. It's nice to have like a long sleeve shirt, couple other things. So I'm still figuring that one out.
yeah. Good, good, good. Yeah, that's. I have my 8 liter pack, Useway 8 liter, which I used at Leadville, served me well, and I have their 15 liter pack as well for overnight, just in case I want to carry a puffy or anything like that through the night. Kind of see how things go. But I have the capacity to do both. So if you want to try, I have an Advanced Skin 12 if you want to try it and see if you like it. Um,
Oh, Yeah, and I've had one before. I think it's a
Okay.
great. I mean, it's really worked for me. I just
Yeah.
for the races around here, I just haven't used
Sure.
one of those, and
Cool. Fair enough.
yeah,
Fair enough.
no,
Yeah.
it's a great pack. Yeah.
Good. 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 Cool. So any other thing on the course that you noticed, or something was brought to your attention that you're like, well, this is something that deserves my attention and some extra planning.
Yeah, I think the big thing is talking to someone who's done the race before is that I think trying to get the mileage. It might be from Big Mountain Pass until Lamb's Overpass, about 15, 16 miles. Um, like when you look at it on paper and you look at the map, it's like, oh, that's not that bad. But everyone I talk to that's done the race says that's sort of a difficult part. So it's just, maybe one of those, maybe a part where I just really pace myself really well. I mean, because that's going to be the heat of the day.
Mhm.
Um, oh, and also, yeah, that's a key point on that too. Is there's a couple of spots where I think previously runners have gotten a little bit lost during that, like taking a wrong turn during that pass. So that's just one of those places where I think we'll just have to be really careful on the route. I mean, my understanding is well marked, but it's just if you're going down a certain route and looks like you should go this way, is just something to be careful about. I think there's like two spots during that 15, 16 miles.
Okay. Is that you sent me a video link I have to watch? Is that about that section?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta watch that this weekend. Um, well, we also on the website, it has top 10 ways to DNF at Wasatch.
Yeah.
You brought that to my attention, so I thought it would be a good thing to kind of run through and talk about some of these things and how we plan to mitigate them. So, we'll start with number 10. It says wear new shoes. So, what are your plans for footwear for Wasatch?
I'm I've got the Topo Racer 3, which I'm still thinking about starting with.
Okay.
I did well at Western States using that right at the beginning. Something I'm good at. I like using those when I'm basically climbing. I pulled them out the other day and went up Mount Mitchell down
Nice.
with those on. It
Yeah.
worked really well.
Yep.
Besides that, I'm going with the Hoka Speed Goat.
Okay. When do you plan to
Yeah.
switch out into the Speed Goat at the first exchange or a separate drop back?
Yeah, I'm thinking if I think yeah, the first exchange was yeah, that's within the first 20 miles. I'll probably switch over to speed goes to that point.
Okay. So it
Um,
gets you through that
I,
first climb, really.
yeah, and I'm looking at I've got two pairs of speed goats, and they're gonna have like probably about. I do better when they're almost new, so they're gonna have less than 20, 25 miles on them.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah,
I use the Mountain Racer 3 to get up and over and back over Hope Pass in Leadville. They worked great. But I'm gonna stick with my Olympus this race. I went up to a size 12. Yeah, I've casually been wearing a size 11 and a half for most of my runs, but I've been noticing my pinky toes been kind of getting irritated in the races. And so I bought a size 12 and actually my pinky toes feel so much better in it. So still going to bring an 11 and a half as a just in case in the Olympus, but I think I'm going to stick to the Olympus. I'll have the Mountain Racer 3 on hand as a fallback. It's such a great shoe. But it is a great, thing to think about starting in that one, especially with that climb. As I said, it served me really well on Hope Pass. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to the Olympus for this one, pretty much all the way through. um, so yeah, wearing new shoes, definitely not wearing anything that we haven't experienced. So hopefully check
yeah.
there. um, number 9 says wear old socks. What's your sock of choice and what are you going with?
Uh, I I've been doing really well with the darn tough. I think it's the ultra light with cushion. or the light with cushion. Um, and then I've got a pair of Switchwicks that are a little bit thinner. I'm probably going to go with both of those. But I know it is nice to have a little bit thicker pair
Mhm.
towards the end in case the feet are getting blistered a little too much.
Have you
But
heard anything about water crossings or anything in this race?
no, I haven't. That's just I've not heard anything on water
Yeah,
crossings.
I
Yeah,
haven't come across anything either. Which will probably make me just go. I've been wearing the Exo Skin, the Exo Toe socks. They've been working really well for me. So it seems like when I try to go over to something else, that's when I start to have the problems with my pinky toe and other things. So I'm just gonna stick to the Exo Toes. They've been serving me well. They ran really well. I used Dry Max for Twin Lakes, to uh, over Hope Pass and back, just because we had to go through the river. And they did okay. I don't think I wanted to, I was looking forward to switching out my socks because, of course, when you get back to Twin Lakes, you just go through the river, so your feet are wet. So I switched back into my Exo Toes. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna stick with the Exo Toes. They've been really serving me well. Um, Gators, you wearing Gators?
I I don't think so. It looks like a race it'd be really beneficial to wear them. I just looking online, through social media, there folks are saying you really don't need them, but just looking at the route, looks like they'd be beneficial. I just don't wear them very much, and it'd almost be like trying something new. So maybe I'll bring them out there and test them out a little bit and just
Yeah.
see how they feel. But it does look like that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's funny. Like at Western States, I didn't wear gaiters. I didn't really felt like I was good with it. But wow, at Badger, I wish I had
yeah.
them.
I wore them at Western, I wore them at Leadville. And I'll wear them again at Wasatch.
Yeah,
Just got a new pair of Ultra to go with the new shoes, and um yeah, I'm gonna wear them. They worked well at Leadville. And I didn't have any problems at Western, so I'm gonna continue to use those. Um, all right. So there's our sock story. Let's go down to number 8. It says waste energy getting mad at little things. Um, I think you and I are both pretty calm, even demeanor people. And at this point, what what little things could aggravate us after all the stuff that we've been through. But there's always things. And I actually was on a podcast earlier today, and we were kind of talking about there was a runner that for some reason just kept like doing things that just were annoying me. It was really early on. We were at Turquoise Lake. We weren't even at mile 10 yet, and this runner for some reason was just irking me. It was just like doing things that were just annoying. And so I recognized that it was creating a little negative space. I was kind of getting into this negative mental space, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop and pee because like I don't want to be near this person anymore. So I just stopped, relieved myself, and let the person go. And that was a great way. Like, I got to the aid station and there the person was, and I ran out of the aid station and never saw the person again. But it was a good way of getting out of that situation and getting out of that negative headspace. Um, like I got to Winfield, the halfway point, and I was missing my electrolytes. They weren't in my bag, my drop bag. I know we packed them. I know we put electrolytes in my drop bag because we put so much stuff in there. And there was a number of things that I know we put in there that were missing. I don't know if they fell out or what happened. If somebody mistakenly took mine, I don't know. Whatever the case, a lot was missing from my bag. And I was like, all right, well, what am I going to do? Like, I instead of getting frustrated, I just tried to problem solve. And I just asked the people around me, I was like, hey, do you happen to have any electrolyte tabs? And this guy had like this huge baggie full of them. I mean, he looked like he had a bag of M&Ms that was like, he had all these chewable electrolyte tabs. I was like, oh, do you mind if I grab some? and he gave it to me, and so I just kind of asked around and found those things instead of getting frustrated. I just tried to problem solve. So but I can't see you getting mad at little things. uh, Go ahead.
I gotta say, so don't waste your energy on the little things. Was that it?
uh don't get mad at the little things.
Don't get mad at the little thing. That's just a great tip for life.
Yes, yes, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, I don't see. Yeah, I guess the biggest, even like with drop bags, you just. I mean, I'm prepared. Like, hey, if the drop bag's not there, I can, I'll figure it out. I just like I'm not gonna like nothing's gonna
Yeah,
get me. I'm not gonna waste energy on that. Yeah.
yeah, right. Number 7, it says, try for that terrific 36-hour suntan. Would you stick your head in a microwave? um so I mean, we've experienced basically 3 races this summer. And I would say that, you and I both, we were both white from suntan lotion. And every time we needed to reapply, it was priority. Keeping covered up and keeping as shaded as we could, as blocked from sun as we could. So yeah, that's a big thing, and I got a new bucket cap when we were up for Badger, but it had a netting on the side. Yeah, yeah, he's Thomas is holding up. He's got a sun cap, so it's it has the cape that comes down over the neck. Yeah, those are great. The bucket cap has been working great. I just have to put some extra suntan lotion on the side of my head just because of the mesh. It breathes so well, but it also kind of gives you some sun exposure. So just making sure we're covered up and not getting sunburned. I got a little bit actually on the morning of finishing Leadville. Coming into the finish, the sun is directly in your face. It's rising directly in your face, and I thought it was early enough that the sun's rays wouldn't be potent enough, but it did. It gave me a little bit of color. I didn't get extremely burnt, but I didn't apply sunblock in the morning because it was like 7 a.m. but I still got a little bit of sunburn. So yeah, anything to add there?
No, I just as you saw, I my wife encouraged me to get another hat. I usually wear her gardening hat when I'm
Oh, so you got
yeah,
the
so
yeah.
yeah,
Who makes
I
that
got one
one?
of these hats, and yeah, just not only the discomfort of having a sunburn. Apparently, I mean, there's talk about just how it just takes energy from you.
Hmm.
So
Right. And
yeah,
who makes the hat you got?
this is the I think that yeah, this is the OR one,
Okay.
Outdoor Research.
Yeah.
So I think you see a lot of runners with this one.
Yep.
I got it. Let's say I got it about a week ago. I've been walking around town with it,
Nice. Yeah.
getting a
And
few laughs. I guess
yeah,
I
the
don't care.
no, I hear you. The bucket cap I
Yeah.
got was a OR as well. So they've got some really good stuff for sun and exposure. So cool. Very good. Are you doing anything to cover up your arms or just using sunblock?
No, I just use sunblock. Not a bad idea. I haven't been training like that, and I just coat my arms with sunblock
Yeah.
and go from there.
Your legs too. I usually tell my crew to hit my legs because
Yeah, it's easy to forget. I mean, there's nothing worse than having a sunburn on your calves.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. So don't forget the legs. All right. Number 6 says, forget to plan for difficult weather, wind, rain, cold, and heat. And we began to touch on this earlier. This is they call it a little bit of heaven and a little bit of hell, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it can be, super hot and it can be super cold. So you mentioned, kind of packing little light jacket. Um, what else do you plan on bringing? We mentioned the aid stations, having stuff to stay warm while you're in the aid station. Are you bringing any extra base layers or any extra thicker jackets?
Probably not too thick of a jacket. I'll bring an extra base layer. I'll bring, although I probably should just start with the jacket and keep with that jacket the entire time. But in a couple of my bags, I'll have the really lightweight rain jackets that, over my past, you know,
Hmm.
20 years of doing ultras, I've acquired a couple of rain jackets.
Yeah.
Some are not the most rain repellent, but I don't think I'm not so concerned. I mean, there's potential for rain. I'm just more concerned on keeping the heat in.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely multiple gloves and multiple lightweight hats that I'll
are you
have
using
out there.
poles?
What's that?
Are you using poles?
Yeah, so yeah, I do plan on using poles. I have a couple of sets of poles, so I'm looking at starting with poles and maybe potentially dropping them at
Mm-hmm.
an aid station
Mm-hmm.
and then picking up poles later. I haven't done that in a race before. Yeah, and everything I saw in the rules, you can do. I mean, I haven't
Right.
seen anything saying you can't do that.
Right. Yep.
And just asking around, so I might be doing that, but definitely using poles at the beginning for that first climb.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one other just major huge climb. I want to have poles for that. Um, Sometimes poles could be good going down too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to
They
keep
definitely.
that as an
Yep.
option. Yeah.
Yeah. Coming down Hope, my the back
Yeah.
coming down. I was definitely kind of planting them in, and trying to save my quads. And same thing coming back. I was using them on the descents to kind of and stabilize because it was pretty rocky. I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
I was staying stable. So yeah, for sure. But then you just have to think about your hands too, especially if you use those leckies, making sure your hands stay warm enough.
Yeah.
Mm.
I ended up, I got these like, they're almost like, not necessarily, they're almost like mechanical gardening gloves. They got real cheap. And I've been wearing those. I mean, they're like, just they're just a really thin pair of work gloves. They don't really they don't really keep my hands that warm, but they do enough to keep the calluses from, just
Hmm.
it keeps you from blistering up. I mean, not calluses, it keeps you from blistering up because I've had that happen before. I use the Black Mountain poles and I'm just like, wow, by the end of the race, like, oh, wow, I can't even use the handles anymore.
The Black Diamonds, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I gotcha.
Or was it Black Diamond poles? That's it. Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha. Cool. All right. Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm gonna have my puffy available. That was one thing that gentleman Simon had talked about, is just how cold it got at night. And he was just like, I'm so glad I have my puffy. um
That, that's not a bad idea. I'll have something.
yeah, I'm gonna have a hooded puffy that I can throw on at the nighttime, especially if I'm just hiking. Like, I want to make sure I stay warm. I passed my friend Mercedes in the morning, and she was just so cold. She already had a puffy on, and she was cold. So just want to make sure. And then with that
I've
too.
used in the past. I might take this. I've got sort of it's like a midweight merino wool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'll use that. I've used that and used that in a race at similar altitude before, and that kept me warm.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. And we can't forget too, if you are in the cold and your body's trying to stay warm, it is burning extra calories. So we got to make sure we're providing body with some some calories to go with how much it's burning, because it's going to be burning extra to stay warm. So don't forget about that too. Um, all right. Anything else there?
I'm sorry. What was that, Aaron?
I said, you got anything else there for the uh cold wind, all that good stuff?
Oh, yeah. No, not really. Just
Okay.
I'm probably gonna have some pretty full bags when I fly out to Salt Lake
Yeah,
City.
I know. I'm probably gonna pack an extra bag. So, um, all right, number 5. It says Wasatch only goes up to 10,500 feet of elevation. No one ever has altitude problems, right? Yeah, I mean, having just come off of, like, keep saying Hope Pass, like I recognize what altitude feels like, and how hard it can feel. So just recognizing when it feels hard, and how being okay with easing it up if it's really creating a higher heart rate pattern. So I don't know, have you ever had altitude problems yourself?
Um, Somewhat. uh, it never. I felt it before. When I did Leadville in the past, it was going from sea level out there. That's probably the time I felt it the most. Just if you ever drive out to Colorado, you feel it and start to learn what occurs. Whether you're there for a few days, could get you know. So it potentially got me a little bit at Western States. I felt it a little bit, but it's something all you could really do is just pace yourself.
Yeah.
Or, well, I am flying out to Salt Lake City on Wednesday, so I'll have 10 days. I don't know if that'll have much effect. To acclimatize to like
Yeah.
4,400. I'm going to be staying at 5,000 feet.
Great.
Yeah, I hope that helps a little bit. And then,
Yeah.
like during the daytime, be going up there.
Yeah. The longer you can be
The
out
higher
there, the better.
altitude.
No, that's great. Good. Cool. Very good. Yeah.
But I've heard of. It's funny. I've been reading up on it, and like the folks say, like one of the best things you could do is just train in heat, because you get used to training heat. At least that's one thing you won't have to worry about when you're out there is heat. If you're already trained up in heat, so.
It adds red blood cells, just like you need at altitude. So that's why they call it the poor man's altitude. It doesn't make you acclimate to it, or but it does give you more red blood cells, which will help with your oxygen carrying to your muscles. So that is a good thing. So yep. And then just keep drinking your fluids and maintaining your electrolytes. That's really important as well. Yep. We kind of touched on number 4, forget to consume calories. Number 4 is forget to consume calories. It can happen, but I mean, I think we're both kind of well versed at this one. In our reminders to eat when we need to eat and do what we need to do for our bodies. So, you have anything different for this one, or you going with your plan?
I did the math. Yeah, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And if I'm consuming 300 calories, I think that's about, if it takes me about 34, 35 hours, I mean, I'm looking at needing to consume 10 to 12,000 calories during the race.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty crazy to think about. So, so I'm doing a variation of everything on that, but no matter what, I'm looking at around. I look at around 300 calories.
Great.
Per hour. Yeah.
Great. Cool. Number 3 kind of goes along with it. It says, think you are staying hydrated by drinking at aid stations only. Well, we both carry plenty of fluids. Even with that, sometimes it's still not enough. I dried out a few times. I had 1.5 liters on me at Leadville, and that dried up a few times. Like I took my last sip and I was like, oh, I hope I get to the aid station soon. So, but yeah, then you get to the aid station, drink a little extra and refill, of course. But, what's your typical, capacity that you carry? How much fluid do you typically carry?
Yeah, so I always have the capacity to carry 3 liters.
Okay.
But when I leave the aid stations, like if it's at nighttime, I try to leave between 1.5 liters. I don't like to carry too much. So there's a little bit of balance. Like what we were talking about earlier, I think the one time I'm going to leave with full 3 liters is that big mountain, that portion of the day where we're going to be right in the heat.
Sure.
But besides that, I'm probably going to I get to the aid station, I drink a 0.5 liter, usually really quick, sometimes even a full liter of that aid station. And then I leave with at least a liter and sometimes 1.5 liters, if not more.
Nice. Great.
Yeah. A little bit is just how I feel, both on how much weight I want to carry and just,
Yeah,
totally.
Yep. 3 liters is quite a lot of weight. So
yeah,
but it can save you. So that's important. Very good. Cool. Yeah, I usually carry about 2 liters as my max capacity. Um, but I do have capacity to carry about 2.5 if I need to. So I carry an extra flask with me. I have a 2 liter bladder on my maximum, and then I have an extra little flask just in case. So um, good to have that ability. Cool. All right. Down to number 2. Rely totally on ribbons to guide your way. Does the word lost have any meaning to you? You kind of touched on this as well, but this was something that you and I talked about earlier, and you had talked about perhaps getting a Garmin Phoenix to help with the mapping function. Did you do it?
Yes, I did get a Garmin Phoenix. So now I'm like watching YouTube videos and how to import a GPX file
Nah. And
on the
then how to
Garmin
use it,
Connect.
right? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
likely
So
I'll have a few days to test it out when I'm out there.
cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm really concerned on that one. To tell you the
Sure.
truth,
I, I,
it's a horrible feeling
oh,
going off
absolutely.
course.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. I have it downloaded to my phone. It's on my Gaia app, and I have it downloaded to my watch. I have the Koros Vertex 2. I actually got the Vertex 2 for Bigfoot 200. And that one has a really long battery capacity and the mapping feature. So I'm gonna use the Vertex 2 for Wasatch, and then again I'll have a backup on my phone just so I can double check in the Gaia app. So yeah, definitely do not want to get off course. So cool. Do you have it backed up on your phone as well?
uh, um, I don't. I will. That's another thing. I really wasn't going to carry my phone until we got that message from the race director on highly recommending it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's the big question I have: is it required or not to have a phone? I know it's a really good idea,
Yeah.
um,
I'm gonna carry my
but
phone as
yeah,
a precautionary,
yeah,
I'll feel a little bit better once I pick up my Pacers because they can check their phones. But up to that point, I think I'm gonna carry my phone just as a precautionary. Yep.
right. It's never. I mean, it's just such a well. I mean, depending on on service and everything, whether you really have service or not out there. I mean, but it's just such a
Yeah.
great safety measure too.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Absolutely.
yeah,
Um. So, and then we're to number 1, not making friends with Mr. Salt and Miss Electrolyte. Um, and this came into play at Leadville. I ran out of electrolytes during the day multiple times, and probably could have used more. I had some really twitchy muscles going into Winfield because I ran out of electrolytes, and the body was just was taxed. So I'm definitely going to carry more electrolytes with me. Have that capacity, and I'm also going to use Element T in my water during the day for electrolytes because I just went off of water and just took electrolyte supplements. So I took S caps, which were great, but as I said, I ran out multiple times and I just had water. So I'm going to switch this time to the daytime using Element T, and then at nighttime just go to water. And then have electrolyte tabs if I really need them at night. I hopefully will not need them at night, but um, I did make that mistake during Leadville, and glad I didn't regret it. But how about you?
um, I usually I do carry the I'll just call them salt tablets. Whether it's salt stick or Endurolites.
Hmm.
I usually use them during the daytime. I don't always use them at night. Doing something a little bit different this time. I haven't done in past races. Uh, I, I I bought some of that gnarly hydrate
Hmm.
because that's my understanding is what they're going to have during the race.
Right.
I potentially I sort of a backup if I don't have my own like stuff I could put in my own water. I'll be
Right.
able to just get what they have because
Hmm.
yeah, I just didn't want to try something for the first time during the race. I wanted
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
test it out a few times. Yeah,
I got sick again after drinking Roctane from the aid station, so I'm just gonna stick to the LMNT.
yeah,
It's so easy to carry those, like just one or two packs go so far
Yeah.
because of how much sodium they have. So I'm just going to carry some extra packets, have them in my drop bags, and have them at the crew stations, and just stick with LMNT. I'm not gonna, unless I'm in a dire emergency, I'm not gonna go to gnarly. So
I heard this really good comment about carrying your own fuel like that, because when you get at the aid station, you have no idea how much has been mixed in there.
right, yes, yep,
Yeah,
yep, exactly.
it'd be too little, too much.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna control that variable this time.
Yeah.
And just, like I said, stick with the element T. And I'm also gonna have, like I said, I'll have some electrolyte tabs with me just in case. But yeah, I think the element T will be quite enough. I don't think I'll have to be using the salt tabs as frequently. So well, cool, man. That's our top 10 ways to DNF at Wasatch. Um, so hopefully none of these come into play or take us out. We are 2 of 6 left in the Grand Slam. That is incredible. I mean, I felt really bad to hear that 3 were taken out at Leadville. Yeah, that like, we got the email. Did you see that email where he says,
Yeah, Stan sent out. Yeah,
yeah,
it's and understanding Leadville had a less than 50%.
44%. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
44.
44%.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was definitely. They said they've never pulled that many people at Winfield. So it was, for whatever reason, it was a tough year. For a lot of people. And I'm just grateful that I finished. It's crazy. So we're knocking on the door here. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm excited to head out there. We will get back from Italy on Labor Day, and then the next day I fly out. So I'll be there Tuesday on race week. That's the earliest I could get there. But I hope you have a great trip and enjoy Salt Lake City. And I'll let you know when I get there, and maybe we can catch up for some dinner.
Absolutely, Aaron. Yeah.
And thank you again for coming on, buddy. I wish you tremendous luck out there. I'll wish you luck in person, but I hope you have a great race, man. I really do. I hope
You bet. And hey, Aaron, thanks for having me on here again. And have a great trip to Italy.
Thank you, my friend. I can't wait.
I love what absolutely wonderful country to go to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's exciting.